Welcome to the very first video of our Disney FAQs, and today I am going to answer one of the questions that I get most often from my friends, and that is, at what age should I first take my kids to Disney World? And I hate to answer a question with a question, but really I think what you need to do for your family is to decide, is this a once-in-a-lifetime trip for us, or do we plan to return to Disney World? Because that greatly changes my answer to this question. If you are planning a blowout trip, a once-in-a-lifetime vacation for your family, then I recommend waiting until all of your kids are a little bit older. First of all, you want them to be able to remember the trip, of course, but you also want to make sure that everybody in your party is at least 40 inches tall so that they can ride most of the rides. If you're only going to be there once, you want to be able to see and do as much as you possibly can. Now, if you plan on returning as a family, I recommend going as soon as you possibly can, and don't miss any opportunity to create magical memories as soon as possible, particularly if you have kids that are under age 3, because if your budget is something that is very important to you, you will save so much money if you're able to take one of your children for free. Kids can get into any of the parks for free up until their third birthday. And that means even if your child turns 3 while you're on your trip, so long as they were under 3 on the day you check into your Disney hotel, they get to get into all the parks for free the entire time you're there. Also, they can eat off of your plates in the restaurants, so they can eat completely free. So it's a really, really big savings. I know for our family in particular, we went to Disney this past year as a family of 6. But we only had to pay for 4 people because 2 of our kids were under age 3. And now as we're getting ready to plan a trip next year, Reagan is going to be 3 years old when we go to Disney next year, and we are already seeing how much more expensive it is to add just one more person onto our vacation package. So definitely get those kids to Disney as soon as possible. If you have one that's under 3, that's great for you. That just saves you a little bit of money. Now, kind of piggybacking off of this question, a lot of people ask, do you recommend taking babies to Disney World? The answer to that is, of course, going to be really subjective based on your tolerance level and your baby in particular. We have done Disney as a family twice now with very young kids. Last year we went before Reagan turned 2, and this past year we had a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old with us. Our 6-month-old was still nursing, so that added another level of craziness. But I would say, for me, I thought Charlotte coming along for the ride was so simple and easy. She couldn't walk yet, so she napped a lot in the strollers. She was very easygoing. I've heard a lot of people say the same, that their easiest trips with their kids were when they were babies because they just napped a lot, or they just sort of went along with the flow. The hardest thing for us about having a baby at Disney was, because of Charlotte's age, she's only 6 months old, and she wasn't at that time sitting up by herself unsupported, and so she couldn't sit up in a restaurant high chair. So for all of our meals, we had to hold her, and since we have 3 other kids, we were juggling them, and one of us always had a baby in our arms, and that definitely added an element that made it just a little bit crazy for us. Of course, we survived and had a wonderful trip, and I do not regret taking her for 1 minute. So again, that's up to you. I understand if you just want to make this trip about your older kids and you want to leave the baby at home. For us, that really wasn't an option because I'm a nursing mom, so the baby had to come with us, like it or not. But I definitely think Disney is doable with a baby. They are extremely family friendly. There are baby care centers in the parks where you can change diapers, where you can feed your baby, you can nurse your baby. It's air conditioned, it's quiet. And so they've definitely gone the extra mile for those people who are bringing their babies to the parks. I think one thing that I hear from a lot of people, and I wouldn't personally know this yet because my kids are still very young, but I have heard over and over again that Disney changes so much based on the ages of your kids. So your trip with your preschoolers is going to look so different than your trip when you have school-aged kids. versus when you have teenagers. The rides you ride, the shows you see, the restaurants you eat in, it's just a completely different experience each time. And of course, when you have little ones, there's that magic there and that make-believe element that's so much fun that you're just not going to get quite as much as when you're taking, you know, your 15-year-old. So I encourage you, of course I do, to go multiple times when your kids are at multiple levels and multiple ages, because it's going to be a completely different trip for you. So there is, in conclusion, no right or wrong answer to this. My answer, my personal opinion is go as soon as you can. Don't miss out on years of magic, because you may think when you're taking that first trip that this is going to be your once-in-a-lifetime trip, but then you may get there and absolutely fall in love with everything and realize that you'd do just about anything to save up and be able to go on a trip again. And so you don't want to have lost time there. You don't want to wait 5 years and then realize, gosh, I wish I had done this 3 or 4 years ago, because we would have already been back by now. And in future videos, of course, I'm going to share with you ways to save and budget at Disney, and I'm going to answer other questions to help you get there. But for now, the question is, what age should we take our kids to Disney? And that answer is as soon as possible. But if you are taking that once-in-a-lifetime trip and you don't think you're going to go back, then I recommend waiting until all of your children are at least 40 inches tall to get the most out of your vacation. So thanks, friends, and I hope that you will watch our next video, because I will be answering another very, very popular question in that one. See ya!